been experienced in making workshops for young video artists. So what I would be interested in, as you are going to be the leader of the workshop together with Julian Macri for young video artists, what kind of workshop do you have in mind, or what kind of workshop would you wish to have, or what you wish to achieve, or you yourself as a video artist, if you imagined yourself a couple of years ago when you started working with this medium, what kind of workshop would you have expected, probably?
Thank you for the couple of years ago. It's more than a couple, no, I mean, I think that one of the characteristics of what's happening in Africa at the moment is the fact that it's a radically changing place. You know, we have an image of Africa in our imagination. We understand that the world is changing a bit, but what we don't necessarily understand, and when I say we, I mean us in Europe, are not really maybe familiar with exactly, tell me if I'm wrong, Emeka, but with exactly how much Africa is changing. Within the process of the workshop, the idea was to try to somehow reflect on this. In other words, to try to somehow reflect on this shifting landscape, this shifting cultural, the shifting of urban life.
So it's primarily not a theoretical workshop, but it's more about exploring the city and by thus just working with the medium by walking in the streets or exploring the city, or how would you ideally see the combination between theoretical background, foundings, and also very practical issues, and these topics and these narratives which are being to be told?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I don't know much about a theoretical background around the subject matter. For me, the interesting thing is that there are people that want to make a video, and they want to be inspired, and they want to latch on, you know, I suppose the way I see it is just guiding them in a direction that makes everything very possible. In Europe, maybe people would be familiar, especially I would say in Germany, they would be familiar with this idea of do what you would like to do, you know, express what you would like to express, you know, and I think it's important, I think, to also experience that, you know, to empower people, to feel strong enough to say what it is they want to say about a given subject. Often people think that they can't do that. They feel they have to follow theoretical rules about filmmaking, or narrative rules about how to put something together, or conceptual rules because it's art that way and it's not art another way. So just breaking those kind of limitations, I think, is the best way to inspire someone to make something.
So how would you see the situation for young artists coming maybe from an art academy? Are they used to that kind of situation, or how would you connect this kind of, well, non-method probably, to the situation of art education in Lagos, in Nigeria and beyond?
The art academy back home is a little bit kind of rigid, in the sense that the curriculum is still from back in the days, and time-based works are really not so popular or so common. You still find the education around paintings, I can say, you know. So, but Lagos is a very dynamic city, and I think this will be quite easily embraced. Not just about being in Lagos, there's a lot happening in terms of media. Nollywood is happening big time, so it's not something they are entirely not familiar with. There's a lot of music videos being shot at the moment, and there's a lot of experimentation with this kind of form going on. So in that respect, it's not new to them as Nigerians, as Lagosians, but maybe in the context of being students of a university, this could be new, but it's something I think will be quite successful because they will openly embrace it. most of them already are experimenting with stuff like that just on their phones, with all these mobile smartphones with videos and all these video softwares that you can easily play with on your phone. A lot of them are doing things that they are not considering art because they don't know it could be art. For them, it's playing with their video. And like you pointed out, there's a lot of changes going on in Africa at the moment, and I think it will be best captured through time-based works and videos and sound, and not just paintings and sculptures that are really static at the moment. So it's about time. This wouldn't be the first workshop, but the point is that I think it's going to be openly embraced. It's not going to be an entirely new concept. So like you said, it's not about trying to teach them, but more like guide them. So I think it's will work out, definitely.
And talking about accessibility and availability, as video is supposed to be an available medium which is quite easily accessible, as you said, these different technical devices. Maybe that's a question to both of you, whoever would like to answer this question. How do you see this availability regarding the international art buzz and everything, everybody expecting artists from all over the place to be flexible enough to show their works at all different places? Is there a certain danger that this kind of medium loses its strength or its site-specific strength due to the due to the accessibility, which and also to the expectations probably from a global audience?
Not sure how to answer that question. I would argue that to a certain extent that has already happened. I think there used to be many more festivals like the Bonn Biennale, and there was a kind of time when video festivals were a space of their own, and museums were another kind of space that had no interest in video, and galleries were commercial spaces for artists that had no interest in video simply because they didn't know how to market it as an art commodity. And so one might argue that in recent years has changed, and in fact now we are in a museum, and this festival is taking place in a museum. So it kind of reflects how the medium itself has evolved and changed with the times. I think that's what's the fascinating thing about video. That it's an art form that changes with the times. When there's a new technological thing invented, it affects the kind of aesthetic possibilities. When what people used to complain about a lot about video was that it doesn't have a space. It's an art without a space. So people hypothesized that the space could be a cinema which shows video, or the space could be the TV set, which is the natural space for video. But broadcasters don't show video, so maybe the museum is the set. But then again, that poses kind of questions about what you do and what you don't do in a video, and the relationship with sound. And I think the solutions here have been they're very beautiful, because there is the possibility of seeing a lot of works and at the same time engaging individually. And that's something that represents, I think, the current state.
Talking about these European, African perspectives, I think we really need to touch the issue of the so-called African perspective on this media. Is there such thing as an African perspective, or how would that be? Talking about accessibility again, and global exhibition formats where artists from all over the world are expected to fulfill a certain discourse, probably a certain aesthetic language and a certain theoretical framework. You're laughing, maybe you don't exactly know what the next question would be, so I stopped asking, but you go directly for the answer.
I don't know if I'm going to go directly to the answer, but it's quite interesting you brought this up. Living in Europe now and having access to see a lot of works, I really think that difference is, it's what I see being exhibited in Europe a lot has to do more with technology. You know what I mean? Not per se content. You know, because I've seen a lot of videos that I will consider not good videos, but the production, the presentation is wow. And that is what I see a lot in Europe. I'm not saying there are no good videos. That is where the difference could be between African artists making video and European counterparts. Maybe accessibility to technology, accessibility to funding gives a better kind of presentation. So you have the situations where African artists submit videos. These were videos they probably edited themselves, they shot themselves. And per se, it's going to now be judged by the presentation only, not even thinking about much about the context. That is what I sort of like discovered.
So I would like to invite you now to ask questions, and for that I would like to thank you wholeheartedly for being here. Thank you, Emeka. Thank you, Theo.